All right, thank you. So I'm the coordinator of Project FINDHR or FINDHR. We have some of our colleagues here. I think there is, it's also about recruitment. And I would say my personal perspective on this is that there is a problem of incentives in recruitment between technologies and HR departments. So I think technology developers have an incentive to claim that their systems are precise, accurate, and unbiased. And HR departments have an incentive to believe those claims because there is a huge burden in processing an ever-increasing number of applications, and these tools actually reduce the number of applications that you need to examine, but the way in which they reduce it, it's not free from biases, but they do reduce the effort for the HR person, so there is an incentive to believe the claims, and I think that sets up in a kind of a dangerous situation. Roger mentioned this situation where someone who comes from a migrant background needs to change their name or hide their appearance and so on to get an interview in the end. And I think there is still a lot of bias, and this bias generates like some situations that are, I would say, quite stressful. Like this person that we interviewed for a job seeker in Germany that says, well, I want to keep my identity. I want to honor my parents, my roots, but I have to change so much just to get a job. It's a matter of desperation, and how these biases still exist both inside and outside the technology part of the recruitment pipeline. There is also a big issue with opacity. So opacity has this quality that first, like as it was mentioned, not even HR people who use these tools know how they work, much less the applicants. Often applicants don't even know that they are being processed by an AI system or by a technological element, and they feel reduced to a statistic. So we are a consortium of several universities, NGOs, and companies that work on this space. So we want to produce, like to have all these people meet and agree on solutions that make sense for everybody. Our project is a technology project, so it involves the development of technology, which is our center part, like algorithms. But we also provide training, and I will tell you something about that. And we also provide methods, legal analysis, ethical analysis, and tools. So some of the results so far, we have done participatory action research in 7 cities in Europe. We have a report coming up with the conclusions and trying to summarize the observation. Here are some quotes from our participants, from like being puzzled about algorithms that they believe don't work, like this participant from Germany that says that executives get recommended a job in McDonald's by LinkedIn, and they say, well, then they completely lose trust in the methods. And other people who know that they will be discriminated both by the technology, and they know that on paper, like based on their CV, they will also experience discrimination. All they want is an opportunity to be face-to-face with a recruiter and be able to explain themselves and to explain what they can bring into these job positions. And of course, people also that realize, like the last quote, like somebody says, okay, I have never had any issue, for instance. We are producing a toolkit, which is a summary, like a summary of our main results and recommendations. We are producing actually 3 versions of this: one for people from HR, one from people from development, and one from policymakers and activists, and trying to explain these concepts: what is algorithmic hiring, what's intersectionality, how intersectionality applies in this scenario, legal discussion, technical aspects, and some recommendations also. We are trying to focus, it's a practical project, it focuses a lot on recommendations for basically for HR people and for software development. One of our key one of what we believe will be one of the key contributions of our project is an equality monitoring protocol to be used post-deployment to evaluate the tools that are used for recruitment. So we claim that before deploying a system, some risk assessment should be done and testing should be done as the AI Act mandates for this sort of high-risk application. And the AI Act also speaks of like a continuous monitoring after a system is being deployed. And we propose, we have both like a legal analysis of how this will be legally feasible, and also multi-party computation protocols, so that it's a secure protocol, so that a third party can participate in the equality monitoring in partnership with for equality monitoring for a company. And here, I would say the setup is similar to a financial audit somehow, in which there is like some sort of cooperation, but also some sort of like, in some way, you are external to the company. And we have this protocol, and that does not reveal sensitive data about people, but allows the capturing of sensitive data by a third party for the purposes of equality monitoring or bias monitoring. We also propose an auditing framework. There is a company that was mentioned because it's part of another project was involved, like Ethicas. And we propose also an auditing framework that is specific to recruitment tools. And here there is another element. When we wrote the proposal, there were over 200 frameworks for trustworthy AI. So there are enough recommendations for trustworthy AI in general. And we believe there should be some recommendations that are sectorial and are domain specific. And in particular here, for the purposes of auditing a tool, if you want to audit a recruitment tool, then we propose specific steps and specific elements to be examined in the recruitment tool. And they will be different for other high-risk applications. For developers, to prevent discrimination to the extent that it's possible, we also provide a development process, like a development guide, including that is accompanied by synthetic data for testing for discrimination. That was something that was presented yesterday by my colleague Anna. And it's all part of the same idea of trying to prevent discrimination before deploying a tool. And it includes elements such as, okay, how to provide explainability, both for the developers, for auditors, and for job seekers, and for HR people. So there are many people who are involved in this, and how to prevent, monitor, and mitigate discrimination when it happens. We have also done a huge effort to provide training, and we have a QR code up there that you can scan if you want to learn more about our courses. So we have both like a 3-hour masterclass. It's all online. We have a 3-hour masterclass. We have done 2 editions. We have trained, like I would say, hundreds of people, a couple hundred people. And we also have a longer course of which we already did an edition, and we have a second edition upcoming in April. And it's a 30-hour course. It involves theory, case studies that you work in groups. I would say about 3/4 of our students are either in law or recruitment. And there is like 1/4 that are people in technology. And we provide also data analysis for them. Like if you know Python, we provide training in Python for data analysis of discrimination in recruitment. If you don't, we provide visual tools and data to do the same. And there is an interesting interaction among people. And I would say so far our results, our students are happy with the training provided. It's not easy to participate in a 30-hour training course if you already have a full-time job. But I think our students so far have found that this has been a good investment of their time, particularly the ones who are either in HR or legal or, let's say, discrimination in algorithms. So some of our key technologies, we are able to generate synthetic data. We try to navigate this very fine line between generating synthetic data that is too similar to actual CVs, that it compromises the privacy of users, or too different from them, that it is not useful for the testing. And we claim that this is very useful for testing before deploying a tool. And also for reproducibility in research. So many papers that are about HR, technologies for HR that are published, people test on their own data sets, and there is no way that you can compare different approaches, either from accuracy perspective, utility, or discrimination. We also provide several tools for interpretability. We have a large effort in interpretability, considering that there are multiple people involved that want different ways of understanding an algorithm. For the candidate, it may be something like counterfactual, like understanding what they, if they were rejected, under which condition they could have been shortlisted for an interview. For the developers to understand, okay, how is my system, what are the features that my system is actually emphasizing when it ranks things, and to be able to debug and improve their systems. And also for auditors or external auditors to be able to understand whether there are proxies for protected attributes being used in this. Our project also has a strong technology element related to rankings. Rankings are interesting because they don't determine what the recruiter does, but they influence very heavily how recruiters choose whom to shortlist. And we have done extensive experimentation with recruiters. I think many people here know this issue of position bias. And there is a strong position bias. So even if you don't tell the recruiters anything, and you just tell them, okay, here are 10 candidates for a job, they tend to believe that the candidate that is in the first position is the best candidate. And even when they don't believe that, they still favor the candidate that is in the top, in the first, second, or third position. There is like inherently some bias, and there is no way that the recruiter can take that out of their brain, because we read left to right, top to bottom, and that's how we process information. So rankings are really important, and the way in which you design a ranking, sometimes with, again, intentions, with the best intentions, it may not have the effect that you desire. So one needs to evaluate not only how the ranking orders people, but also how a recruiter reacts to a ranking done in a certain way and who they end up selecting, which is the goal. And we demonstrate this both like the rankings, some interventions that change the rankings in a way, and that changing in the ranking changes the outcomes in terms of who the recruiters select, and also how do we monitor this. And again, we claim that at one way or another, like job search engines will need to be will need to establish some monitoring protocol for the purposes of understanding whether they are being discriminatory or not. And we propose one way of doing that. There may be other ways, but I think sooner or later this needs to happen. It's a very delicate thing, and it has a strong effect in society. We are working on a number of things. This is the final year of our project, and we are working on many things, improving synthetic CV generation, doing more user studies, more testing, more development, polishing our demonstrators, and so on. We're still working intensively on all this. And once again, like, take a look at our courses. They're good, and I will take questions.